Well, Noah, like usual, I was right.
Oh my God. What do you mean?
The Browns disappointed not one, but two continents. That's right, the Cleveland Browns have lost yet again, this time in another spectacular way. There's a lot to dive into, a lot to talk about on the negative, but I want to touch on the positives first because there were some positives. We had a rookie QB debut.
We did have a rookie QB debut, and all things considered, he gets two thumbs up for me. Was it a perfect start by any means? No. Was it a good first rookie start? Yeah. I pulled the numbers. I looked at starting rookie quarterbacks the last 5 years and looked at some of their games. And by all due accounts, he's definitely in that top third. I mean, you're talking about Joe Burrow had a game. His first game was 193 yards and a pick. You look around the league more. Kenny Pickett is not a good example, but 120 yards and three picks. Bryce Young, one
Wait,
touchdown,
Kenny
two
Pickett had
interceptions.
three picks
Yeah,
in his debut? Wow, that's bad.
10 completions on 13 passes, zero touchdowns, three picks. CJ Stroud had a very average debut, threw 44 times, only completed 28 of them, had no touchdowns, no interceptions, only 142 yards. So, really, I mean, all things considered, he looked pretty good in his first initial start. There's obviously things to work on, though.
Yeah, the things that I liked, he protected the football. He looked comfortable in the pocket when he needed to step up, escape, etc. I know he had a couple runs where he needs to continue to improve. Obviously, he was overthrowing receivers like crazy. Um, we didn't have a pass play over like 10 yards, I think, until
Yeah.
that end of the game. When he looked just fine, by the way, throwing the ball down the field. Granted, they were in prevent defense, but he has an arm. So yeah, I would say okay. I would give him like a B minus on the day,
Yeah.
but a solid start for sure.
I put him at a B. He looked like he belonged in the NFL. And with some of the stuff that people were saying about him pre draft and up into this point about being too small, his arm's not strong enough, you can look for an example at the David Njoku touchdown where he threaded the needle in between the defense and got David Njoku the ball in a situation to score. And that is an NFL level play, whether it's backup quarterback level play, whether it's starting quarterback level play. We're not there yet. He's a rookie. He's an old rookie. He's a rookie that's played plenty of college football, but there is a lot of positives to see from him. You talk about throwing downfield. I will table that until we get to the negatives of this game because I think that helps drive home a point we're both ultimately gonna end up making here in a minute. Someone else I want to highlight, Quinshawn Judkins. Every week, man, he continues to be a highlight reel. He would have had more than 150 yards or right around it if that holding call didn't get called back when he got into the end zone. He's the first Browns running back since 2023 to eclipse 100 yards. He had another awesome day, and he looks like the real deal.
Yeah, Quinshawn Judkins, I mean, besides not getting into the end zone, despite being in the red zone, which isn't on him, it's on the play calling. I'm just salty because I missed a couple parlays because of that. But besides that fact, he looks incredible. He looks like a world beater. And we're set at the running back position. I do want to touch on quickly. I know we're going to jump into the negatives, but you mentioned the hold call. The refs were terrible in this game, and I'm not blaming them for the loss by any means because the loss is not on them, but they were pretty awful in where and how they were calling penalties.
Yeah, it was a rough game penalty wise in general too when you talk about the Cleveland Browns and getting penalties. So that's part of it in my mind as well. But the refs weren't great. The situation wasn't great. The loss is horrible. I want one more quick highlight. I just want to give Isaiah Bond credit too because he seems like he's the only receiver in the receiver room that wants to make plays, catch
Yeah.
the ball, try to make something happen right now. And
And
I guess that's a good transition to get into the negative, man, because there's a lot of things to bitch and moan about, and I'm ready to do that with you.
well, let's start with coaching
Yeah, let's please.
because we argued yesterday. I'm so done with Stefanski. And it sounds like, just from the top of the show, that maybe you've come around to my point of view a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think it is time to fire him today and go in with a new coach next week. But if you want to be in a situation to say that he shouldn't be in the hot seat, if you are in the mindset that to say he's not in the hot seat, I'm sorry. I'm a Stefanski defender, but it has been absolutely tragic this year. The procedural penalties continue to be an issue. Some weird clock management at the end of the game. First watch of it, I was like, I get it. We're trying to stop the clock
Yeah,
and,
you
get
argued
the
this
ball.
with me. I'm like, "What were those timeouts? They were awful." And you're like, "What do you mean? That's what you should be doing." And I'm like, "Are you nuts?"
And then I look back at it and it's like there was so many times you could have put the pressure on a backup quarterback who plays sloppy football like Carson Wentz to drive down the field and end up probably stalling out and having to do the field goal and go to overtime. Whereas it almost felt like we were handing the Minnesota Vikings timeouts to help
Mhm.
them win the game. Um, I get using them, but I also think it wasn't the time and place. I understand the thought process, but I'm not in favor of the thought process, is where I'm at with that. Uh, the biggest thing for me, too, is the just consistent, similar failures. I mean, you go through so many different examples of this. You can look at Browns versus Seattle. Stefanski chose to throw the ball on 3rd and 8, and we lost the game because PJ Walker, our fourth string quarterback, threw a pick. I'm talking about the 2023 season. You can look at the Browns Giants loss where they lost that game in first energy and definitely could have won it. It was 4th and 1 on his own 29-yard line. He could have punted, he could have gotten other things going on. You could look to multiple examples during the Deshaun Watson season. The point is, this has happened throughout his tenure, and it's to a point now where it's fix it, or maybe you are not the answer anymore.
The entire tenure. Yeah, the truth is that listen, I've been a defender at points too, but he has ridden streaky quarterback play to his coach of the year wins. And I know you like to bring that up as a way to laud him, um, but the proof is in the pudding, and it's not there. By the way, the one lone playoff win that we had, he wasn't even there. So I wonder, like, do we even win that game if he's on the sideline making coaching decisions and actually play calling? I don't know. Clearly, I'm over Stefanski at this point because exactly like you said is my frustration. He's not learning from his mistakes. He's doing the exact same thing over and over and over again. And we talked about the definition of insanity, expecting a different result. He can't call plays. That's clear. And why he thought he would take over play calling duties once again, be a head coach. But the thing is, I'm not sure he's very good at that. I said, one of the biggest things is being a leader of men. I think he is that, but at a certain point, you will lose the locker room. And I mean, we got to stop making excuses for this guy. You say, let's not move on now. Let's wait till the end of the season. At this point, I disagree. Fire him
Okay.
now. Let Schwartz
What?
take over.
You just had a rookie quarterback have a good debut. To fire the coach and then
Yeah,
switch
he had a
everything
good
around.
debut and they lost because of the coach. Let's be clear
Right.
on that. He had a good debut and we lost the game for two reasons. One, our defense didn't show up when we finally need them. I think it's because they're damn tired. And two, the coach, the coaching decisions. So, yeah, we did have a good debut. It
So
didn't
what
do
is the
anything for
positive?
us once
What
again.
is the what is the positive of moving on from a coach midseason? It feels like if we do that, we're going right back down the same path of knee-jerk, stupid reactions we used to do when Haslam first bought the team, Eric.
What's the
There
positive
has
of
been
keeping him to the end of the season when he's a shit coach?
he he
Please, I'm
is
all
not.
ears.
Yeah, no, I can 100% go here, but he has proven time and time again that he has not been a shit coach his entire tenure. He has had some very bad blunders this season and the last season. He's what, 4-28 or whatever that stat is in his last 32 game, whatever it is. You keeping him in a year that you know is supposed to be a retool rebuild year for the rest of the season to see if he can turn it around is the smarter option because there's no reason to move on from him.
Noah,
What positive?
2020 was 5 years ago.
I'm not even talking about 2020. 2023 was 2 years ago.
Yeah, and again, he's riding streaky quarter. Listen, he's not a good coach. He doesn't make good in-game decisions. He doesn't make good play calling decisions. So at what point, like, what does he offer? That's my biggest question, I guess.
Erik, the team is still bought in on this guy. It's been seen week in and week out. So, what is the reason to completely blow it up now when you could still have something there? It just seems too early. I agree that his seat should be 110% warm at this point. We could be a 3-2 wild card playoff team playing Pittsburgh for sole lead of the division right now. And instead, we're 1-4 because of special teams blunders and whatever happened yesterday in the Vikings game. But
You're also forgetting we're only have one win because of a freak block punt. So let's not
yeah,
pretend like that was a win that, we can count on. Listen, we're not a playoff team. That's the thing. If you're going to make changes, make them sooner than later. I get what you're saying. And normally I'm in favor of that continuity. But we talked about it yesterday, and you said, at the very least, take away his play calling. Does that sound familiar? Have we done this before? Like, I feel like we're insane because we're talking about the same things over and over and over again. Clearly, he can't call plays, and yet he's calling plays. So we take it away and say, no more play calling, Kevin. So what happens? In 2 more years, he's going to call plays again? Like, we're in this cycle. Let's just rip the band aid off.
I don't think that's the smart decision because it's a huge overreaction. Midseason firings have never done anything good in the NFL. There's still time for him to figure this whole thing out. I agree his seat should be warm, but
Figure what
going
out, though? Like,
his
what is your
issue
expectation at this point for the season?
to win games and be competitive. This team has shown week in and week out that they can win games and be competitive. They
The
need to
defense
do a lot
has.
more.
But the
So is the
offensive
offense.
genius of a coach has not done shit for us. That's my problem. He's lauded as being this guru on offense. I think the game has passed him by. Like, the play calling's uninspired. Anytime he tries a trick play, it's terrible. Like, it's the worst I've ever seen. He's not he's not Sean McVay. Like, we hold him up to be this guy because he was a good OC in Minnesota. We haven't seen it in years.
Let me ask you this. What is the positive of firing him right now? What happens on the field in the locker room if he were to get fired? And he's not. The Haslams are in love with this guy. I even if I think his seat should be warm, I still think he's the coach of the Cleveland Browns next year.
I think you'd be surprised on that one. I think the benefit is we see what somebody else can do. I'm not saying like Short should be head coach long term. I don't even know who you put into that position, but it affords you two things. It affords you the opportunity to go out there and send the message that we're not okay with this. But number two is you can start that search earlier. And I'm not saying we'd replace a guy this year, but you get a head start on the interview process and figuring out who you want to put in there. There's a lot of guys that I'd potentially pick. I don't know who that would be, but why wait to the end of the season just to see if maybe he gets a few more wins? Like, we've seen it, Noah.
Let me ask you this too. Who's the replacement? What's the better option out there? Tell me. You got to
I
have a
don't
plan
know
if you're
off the
that gung
top of
ho
my
about it.
head, but I'm not the owner. That's not my job to hire a coach. But you don't think there's a better coach out there?
I don't know what the answer is. I want an answer before we just go ahead and fire someone after 5
Brian
weeks of football.
Flores.
I wouldn't mind that actually. I think he's a
Okay,
great head
see, I give
coach.
you an answer. You know what? The only way I'm going to be okay keeping Kevin Stefanski is bring in Mike McDaniel as OC next year.
No.
His
He is
seat's
a
hot.
mess, dude.
As an
He's a
offensive
mess.
coordinator, he's a
He's
genius in that role.
he's a mess, dude. It's a mess down there right now.
I didn't say as head coach, I said as OC.
I still don't think it makes sense. And Tommy
Josh
Reese, I think
McDaniels was a mess too, and he's just fine at OC right now with New England again.
that's fair. I don't think it's time yet to make a coaching change completely. I do think Stefanski's seat should be completely warm. This is
It
the
should be
first
on
time I think
fire.
Yeah, I think this is the first time we've seen him in the post media scrum look frustrated. He needs to do better. This team needs to do better. You can see
We've
by
heard
walk
that out of his own
right.
lips.
Right. Well, the lip service stuff doesn't bother me. It's all PR and playing the game. I know it bothers you and it bothers a lot of Browns fans, but him saying nothing week in and week out, Bill Belichick did the same thing and won 5 Super Bowls. I'm not saying
But
Stefanski is Bill
he
Belichick before you blow up.
he won 6, and Bill was winning. That's the difference. You might say media doesn't matter. It does matter when you're a shit football coach for our team. You have to be accountable at some point.
Yeah, he says he needs to do better, but he doesn't owe anybody anything, Eric.
Says it every week. He does
Yeah.
owe it. He's paid millions of dollars to lead this team. He owes a lot
No,
of
he
people a
doesn't.
lot of things.
You could say the same thing about Bill right now in North Carolina and that mess that he's got
Yeah, and
going on with
the
his.
game's passed him by too. Maybe we should get Stefanski a new girlfriend. It's not helping Bill, but listen, I want to move on because there's other news. I really want to hear your opinion on the Raiders talking about they need to trade for Shador Sanders. That's been the news as of late. What's your take there?
Yeah, there's no take there. That was a Damian Lillard tweet that he was trying to spin the stuff and say we need to move on and start for the future. The Raiders look rough, but I don't think we're giving up on Shador Sanders, even unless it's a crazy trade offer. Like someone said, give us your first round pick and he's totally yours. I think that was Sir Yacht actually. Um, I don't see anything coming of this. What do you think?
No, I agree. A lot of people are making out with him being still third string, that's an issue. But there was a good point raised yesterday by somebody. I apologize if it was you, but they were talking about how game planning works, and you have the game plan for Dillon Gabriel in that game, for example, and then you have a very tiny emergency section for a backup to come in and run. But you'd essentially be running Dillon Gabriel's game plan. And to put Shador in second to come in if something were to happen potentially to Dillon Gabriel, he would be running Gabriel's game plan, which wouldn't behoove him at all. It wouldn't look good for him. So being third still kind of works in the sense that if and when we're going to start Shador Sanders, it needs to be planned around him and his style of play. So I don't read too much into it.
No, neither do I. And I talked about it last week when the starting quarterback announcement was made and Gabriel was named the starter, that it's better for Shador almost to be in that third quarterback role right now because of the amount of practice reps you get at the third string being a scout team quarterback versus the second string and basically standing around, following around so you know the game plan, but not really getting reps. Shador's biggest thing right now is he needs reps. So let's keep giving him those reps. But it's fine. And honestly, right now, with Dillon Gabriel, if he were to go down, Joe Flacco going in first, I think does make more sense. Just basically because Joe can, manipulate Kevin's offense uh, better than I think a rookie could, after a rookie already goes down. It's kind of a band aid. And I know we wanted to move away from Flacco, and I think that was the right call. But if it came to that situation and you're talking about a backup quarterback going in during the game, Flacco makes the
Yeah.
most sense still, I think.
I agree. I don't know about manipulating Stefanski's offense because there's none to speak of, but I do generally agree with exactly what you're saying. It's another frustrating day as Browns fans. I thought my reactions would be a little more tempered today after sleeping on it and uh, getting up fresh. And, maybe I don't hate Stefanski as much as I thought I did. No, the reaction's still the same. I'm still angry. I'm an angry Browns fan right now. And it's just a shame because normally I look forward to it every week. Thank God for Ohio State because without them, now that the Guardians are over, Cavs are about to be back at least, but it's tough. It's tough in Cleveland right now.
It's tough to be an Ohio sports fan. I want to point my attention to a couple different things real quick. Can we talk about the defense? And I don't like talking about the defense because they are good at football, but they were not good
Well,
in this game.
yeah, I wondered after watching, did we overhype the defense a little bit? Because they were awful.
They were not good. Greg Newsome had some bad plays. The D line was not getting pressure on a cobbled together offensive line, three starters out. I thought it was going to be a field day. That's really the reason I thought they were going to win this game. But
Yeah.
it turns out that, that just doesn't matter because they did a pretty good job of holding us down. Alex Wright had a sack. I got really excited for that one. But man, I don't know.
You let Carson Wentz go down the field in not that much time. I think when we called that first time out, there was 59 seconds left in the game. You let him go downfield and score with 20 seconds remaining, by the way, 25, I think. Yeah, the defense, they didn't show up. Myles Garrett wasn't there. He was just absent the whole day, which we've talked about him being on a tear so far this season.
Right.
Not sure if that injury status, that ankle was hobbling him a little bit. But yeah, I mean, they were playing guys that were working at the beer factory last week on offensive line, and they still didn't get through. Because I expected the same thing. I thought, wow, they are so injured right now. They have a backup running back too. Like everybody on the team is injured. Granted, they have some incredible receiving talent, but what we saw out of the defense was I can't even like at all areas it failed. Like there wasn't really of note any good. They were ripping off runs all day. Um, I don't remember Schwessinger being very active. He seemed quite like it was a weird one. It was weird. It's not
He
what we were used to seeing.
On that big TJ Hawkinson chunk play, he was in the wrong spot too, which you expect. He's a rookie. I
Yeah,
know
it's
we're
gonna
very
happen.
excited, but it's going to happen. The other thing that I think is a huge blunder is, of course, the drops again. What the hell is Jerry Jeudy on this season? I was joking on Twitter. Oh my God, Jerry Jeudy caught a football, and then like 2 plays later, I tweeted again because he caught another one. Oh my God, Jeudy caught 2 footballs, and then those were his only 2 catches in the game. I think he was targeted 5 or 6 times and dropped 3 of them. It's like we got to do the rookie quarterback more favors, first of all, because if he's hitting you with a good ball and you're dropping it, that's on you.
Like you said, the only solid play we saw were out of the tight ends. And that's that's not good. We did mention pregame. I'll pat myself on the back that we needed Njoku and the tight ends in general to have a good
Yeah.
game for Gabriel, and that turned out to be true. They were good, big, soft targets for him, which was great. But trying to move the ball downfield again, thankful for Quinshon Judkins because without him, that pass game would have been anemic once again. If you look at, how we looked in the early games when you could just drop back into coverage against us, that would have been the case. Thankfully, they couldn't do that. And then down the stretch, of course, that 4 and out, 3 and out to end the game when they took, I think, like 11 seconds off the clock total.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just pitiful, man. You just get into we talked about it playing behind the sticks, but at that point you're trying to eat clock, and yet we throw it on like third and whatever it was, 3rd and 10 or whatever, in a situation that didn't make sense. You just run it again there. Like we said, like you said, it looked like we were trying to win the game for Minnesota.
Yeah, I think this is the biggest problem. This goes back to Stefanski, and this has really been my general observation now that I've watched the game back a second time, now that I have taken in some of the reaction and formulated my own opinions, is Kevin Stefanski as a coach, I think, is way too conservative. He wants to go for that big chunk play on that 3rd and 10, but only has an out route that if Dillon Gabriel overthrows it, it goes out of bounds. So we're not worried about a turnover. We were playing this game to not lose. We were not
Yeah.
playing this game to win. We were playing this game to not lose, and then we lost. And that has been the tail of the tape, I think, with a lot of this analytical based thought process that has run the Cleveland Browns since Sashi Brown was the GM. And I know that was a shit show of a season because that was 0-16, 1-15, whatever. But we can't there's got to be some real aggressive normal football thoughts at some point to go in here, or else we're going to continue to see the same damn thing every time.
Yeah, when we watch Ohio State, and in the past we've had issues with Ryan Day's play calling, but they get this chunk play and you go, wow, that was incredible. Or, they pull off that trick play. And I get it. There's difference in talent. The golf in talent between Ohio State and everybody else that we're playing is so massive.
Yeah,
But I don't ever feel that same level of inspiration watching the Browns offense at work. We watch other teams, um, and we go, wow, that's what an offense is supposed to look like. That's what an NFL team looks like. And that's not us. And I think you're absolutely right. The play calling is so conservative. It's like ultra conservative. You can never play not to lose because you always lose when you play not to lose.
100%.
And again, we know whose feet that falls to.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens moving forward. As much as you're calling for his head, I think I'm right in my thought process more so of what's going to happen. They're going to give him the rest of the season to figure out what goes on here. They're not going to fire him beforehand. I think Jimmy is also nervous to be too knee jerk at this point, even if that is playing too conservative, I guess. Um, but it'll be interesting to see what goes on moving on from here. There were some positive signs from this game. Dillon Gabriel looked like he belonged in the NFL. Your running backs, your draft classes still looked fantastic. But
By the
it's time to figure out what we need to do to take a step forward. There was a point in time where Kevin Stefanski did look good. We had good trick plays. We had good things going on. This was earlier in his tenure. He looks over conservative now. He looks timid. He looks afraid almost, is what the issue is.
Yeah, and there was a point that Bill Belichick looked great too. It just we're past that point. That's the problem. Real quick, I just want to hear your thought because you mentioned Jimmy, meaning Haslam, the owner. Do you think he actually gives a shit
About,
about winning or I mean, this guy's raking in so much money from Browns fans. Does he
yeah, because
actually
it's
care?
yeah, I think so because it's an ego thing for him. That we talked about this before on the page, the ego of a billionaire. I do think he cares because he wants to be looked at popular and nice in these NFL circles. So yes, I do think he cares, and especially with the money he's forking out for that new stadium, he wants this team to be good so he can sell more hot dogs, tickets, parking passes, whatever at the new Huntington Bank Stadium. That broke ground, by the way. I don't think we ever touched on that, but it broke ground
We
last
did
week.
not. Well, let me be clear, because Jimmy, to the rest of the league, to the rest of your fellow owners, you look like a clown. So let's get your stuff together and figure this thing out, please, for the love of God.
Please, for the love of God, indeed. I think you speak for all of Northeast Ohio, all of Browns fandom when you say that kind of thing. The fact that we lost this game is absolutely deplorable. Kevin Stefanski, you need to do better. Jerry Jeudy, you need to do better. Cleveland Browns defense, for the first time this season, I'm going to say you need to do better. Let's move forward. We have a tough game against Pittsburgh this week, and it feels must win. It feels must win for everything that we have going on because this season continues to go further and further down the drain in a year that, while it is a rebuild, I think there has been plenty of opportunities for this football team to win and be successful.
Quickly, 30 seconds, and obviously we'll preview it. Do we have any shot to win against Pittsburgh?
I think so because I think our defense is this good. I think that the Steelers defense has taken a step back, but it all comes down to if we can start really fixing some of these issues we see on the coaching front, on the offensive front, on the defensive front, even. If they don't do anything and they come out there and they look like they have the first 5 weeks of the season, no, of course not. But the talent is there. The ability to win this game is 100% there. So I say yes, but how can you feel good after what you saw on Sunday morning in London?
You can't. You
Yeah.
can't at all. And on that note, the debate never ends, but the show does for now.